Okay, good morning, good afternoon. This is Alan Wolford, and today what we're looking at is how to create an online SDS platform that your employees can use, especially on a construction site or if they have like a small business without a ton of chemicals, a ton of materials out there. But even if they do, here's an option to what's available and most commonly used out in the field. So, one of the most well known apps out in the field currently are the Velocity EHS, or what used to be called MSDS Online. Now, Velocity EHS has a lot of great programs. When I worked for quite a few different companies, they utilize Velocity EHS just to track chemicals, update. A lot of good materials in here for large industrial groups, general industry, not so much for construction or small business. It is a little pricey, but you get a lot of value for the materials and the support that you get. In addition to Velocity, you have what's called Data Sheet Solutions. Now, Data Sheet came out a little bit different a little bit later, but again, they have a lot of different materials that are beneficial for companies trying to improve their hazard communication program, their availability of SDSs. And what a lot of people don't understand recently with COVID, because they didn't want people touching the books because of trying to sanitize paper. A lot of companies are going to digital and online. So what we're looking at, just here off of the datasheet solutions, if you have up to 500 chemicals, your annual price is $359. And for a small business, you would think that that doesn't take a lot of money, but it's going to be something that's going to be continuously updated. If they have up to 1,000 chemicals, it's nearly $600. So again, if you look at the variety of chemicals for an annual subscription where they automatically update your SDSs, employees can search SDS database. On this side, it's $6.50 per SDS. $6.50. But what makes this crazy is I can come up here, and almost every company has this. Let's just SDS Clorox. So we'll type in SDS Clorox, and you've got a ton of variety out there. You've got a lot of different ones. So the reason I put SDS first, you see how it comes up. You've got SDS Label Authority Registry, MSDS Online, Clorox Bleach. Well, I'm going to the main Clorox website where they have the safety data sheets. I can look over here. I've got the Clorox Pro Clorox cleanups. I've got the Clorox disinfecting. I go to the view the details, and I can download it right here. So what I'm going to do, I've already got a bunch of SDSs for this program, but I'm looking through it. I make sure that the name matches what's on the container, right? It's supposed to be appropriately labeled. I look at the date because, some revision dates, were supposed to be made after the GHS went into effect. So what I'm looking at is making sure it's an updated SDS. It's got the 16 areas that are supposed to be in the new GHS program. I see first aids in section 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this into my sample SDSs, and you can see that right here. And so again, I've already got Clorox bleach in here, but I'm just going to highlight that, and I'm starting it with SDS. So as I'm looking for my SDSs, whether it's online or it's in a file, the first thing I'm going to put is SDS. That makes it easier to find. Then I can follow it up with Clorox. So I saved that. So as I'm going through, as you saw how fast that was, it took less than a minute to find the appropriate SDS. So if you go into Velocity or you go into SDS management, you have to put in your information, do the same thing. You're going to search it, and you're going to make sure you got in your own library. You don't need a barcode inventory tool. That is helpful if you have large tool rooms or supply areas. You'll put down one case, but that's more for those that have like environmental organizations or environmental programs that they're trying to keep up with, and they're keeping track of how many gallons of Clorox they've used, or methyl ethyl ketone, or some of the controlled items. So again, let's look at the benefit and the return on investment. So we have great organizations and support, but say you have a small company. Now this is one I made. It's not a small company, but what we were looking at was the field teams having to go out in the field. And again, because of COVID, we had to look at, are they going to put binders out here? Are they going to get contaminated when out in the field? Broad River in North Carolina, it's a water company. So they have their binders, but if the guys were out in the field, instead of carrying the binders getting destroyed because they'd have a variety of, pipe dope and other materials that they'd use. So what we did is we created a website, and I came in here and I put in the top sections that most of them look for. So section 4 is for first aid, section 5 firefighting, section 6 is for spill response, but the critical one for most of them was, what PPE do I wear with this type of chemical? So we put in here, because they've already had training on it, and then down here we've got the SDSs. So what we put up, and we're going to be working on this later, just to give you an idea, if you cannot locate the SDS for the material necessary, Google, just as we did SDS Clorox. So the reason you do that, even Velocity, EHS, and some of the others, you'll have chemicals that you'll look at it and it may say rip off 250. And you look at the company and it's something like Amway or it's something like Fingerhut. Not that they're really big into chemicals except for Amway. And they're actually manufactured by a different company. So you have to look for, you're looking for brake free, or you're looking for another type of lubricant, 3-in-1 oil, and it shows the name of the distributor, not the manufacturer. So that's a little bit difficult. So you go in there, you could put something like SDS, 3-in-1 oil, and then, just pull it up. Now, the reason we're talking about this, 3-in-1 oil, believe it or not, is one of the most common chemicals that people are getting into their eye. They're going to be wearing different types of PPE out in the field. It may be like it is right now, cold temperatures, glasses frosted up, they tilted, whatever it is. So as you can see, there's multiple things for 3-in-1 oil. So when they're out in the field, they may want to look at shopping, and this sounds odd, but if they can identify by the labeling, and they say, okay, this one was manufactured for web restaurants. It's a food grade. Or this one was manufactured by WD-40. So it's just a quick tool. Not so quick when you're in the field, you're looking at a smaller screen, but that's one of the things they can do. But it is told, then let a member of the team know it needs to be added to the library. So the way this works is we go through, again, the way they get to this, we'll get to that. It's a Google website. So if you look up here, it says sites, google.com. So what's great about this, it costs nothing. So if you're supporting a small business or you're on a construction site and your guys are all over the place, maybe they're a quarter mile, maybe 700 feet from where the SDS binder is, or it's bad weather, the binder got wet, or they don't have access computers. That's why we set this up for Broad River. The guys are out in the field. The binders are back at the office. They didn't want to tote it. They didn't want multiple people touching it. So, and we'll get to how they get to this. They scan this special QR code. They can get here, click on that SDS, and it opens right up. And depending on what they're looking at, they can go to section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5. And while they're in the field, they can see this. So you meet the criteria from OSHA under 1910-1200. I can immediately access the SDS, and it doesn't have to be in the field. You can use this same principle inside of small manufacturing, a small building, and have these sheets put up. And the sheet's going to look similar to this. It's incomplete, but what you're looking at, it says right to know, which we also know is called right to understand, and safety data sheets. And it tells them to scan the QR code with the phone. So we'll get to how to produce this in a minute. But what's important, you can put in here region 1, region 2, region 3. So if you're in a manufacturing facility, when you build this SDS binder, and I'll show you how to do that very shortly, when you build the different files, you only put the chemicals for region 1 or area 1, region 2, area 2 on there. So when they scan that going into that door or next to where it's stored, it's only going to show the chemicals in that area. So that's really helpful. Instead of you going through a binder with maybe 175 different chemicals, it's going to list the 10 that's in there. So in an emergency, either it's first aid or fighting a fire, you're going to narrow down to what is in that area. So that's beneficial. Say you have an emergency response team, they come up and they're going to go in this area, they're going to scan that code, they'll know everything that's out there. So if you've got an NFPA diamond on the outside and they see the health, they could scan that, go through that, and it's like, oh, MEK, We've got toluene, we've got all these flammables, but here's the one that's a carcinogen. Here's the one that's going to be hazardous to the eyes, a caustic, right? So again, we're going to talk about that in just a second. So going through this, you see we can pull up the SDSs. Now, another benefit, say you're on a small project, small site, or even a large construction site, you can add these buttons and say, like right here, if I click on this, it's going to go to toolbox talks that I've generated for this company, right? So one of the things that we was talking about, what if you put in the toolbox talks, but then you add other buttons, section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. Or you put welding department, you put maintenance department, you put chemical storage. And that's another way. They just scan that one QR code, click on that button, so you're not generating different QR codes for different areas, and it automatically goes there. So I've got everything. This is just to give you a simple idea. So let's talk about how we get to this point. So what I've done is I went into my personal drive, and as you can see here, I put sample online SDSs. So you got to set up a Google account, which is relatively simple, really easy to do. And what you do is you've got, say, like your files and the stuff you uploaded. So you right-click and put in new folder. So I'll just open the online SDS that we currently have. So what's different about this? You see it's got a very unique code up here at the top. So the files are not in there yet. So the easiest way to put the files is after I've searched and downloaded, I put them all on a file on my desktop. So all I've got to do is highlight. You can go over here too and select all, and then drag them into the drive. So what's automatically going to happen is if you look over here, it's uploading 15 items. I know exactly how many SDSs are going in. And as you can see, they're populating inside that area. You see the PDF pop up. So very simple. Find your SDSs for the area, save it into a drive, whether it's the entire plant, region 1, region 2, region 3, however you want to do it, and I'll show you how we could set this up using the exact same files. So it's completed. So the problem is this file is just for you. So if you shared this link, people wouldn't be able to see it. They'd have to sign into that. So as you're looking up here where you upload files, more, you got Google sharing, Google Scripts, stuff like that. I'm going to go back to the drive, but I'm going to right click. You see where it says sample online SDS? So you've got all these things. You see where it says share? Share's where you get the link and put it in an email. But get the link. This is important. For you to put it in the website and work, you've got to change this. So right now it shows restricted. Only people added can open with this link. So I'd have to add people in their email or their Google account. What I put is anyone with the link, and then I click done. So by doing this, when I generate the next section to make the website similar to this, where it'll populate inside here and everybody could see it, if I had not turned that on, they'd see the safety data sheets up here, but they would not see the SDSs because the permissions were not in there. So you can set security, but here's the thing. SDSs are common, right? We Googled all of these to get that. So you don't really need to password protect your SDSs. Now, if you have other areas on the site, you can block that just like we did, where that person has to log into it. All right, so let's go talk about how do we generate this site. So the next thing you do, again, the first one is drive.google.com. You create the folder, you fill the folder, you set the permissions, right? So again, go over here to get the link, not share, get the link. Make sure you highlight anyone with the link, done, and save it. So let's go to Google Sites. So you'll have this and you'll see a blank portfolio event. This is what it looks like. I did not want to set one up in here so I could show you step by step. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on blank, and simply you're going to get this. You're going to get the thing to add content. So because we're doing a sample SDS, we're going to call the page sample SDS HAZCOM page. All right, so we've got that. So let's say you want to generate something similar to Broad River, but you're a consultant, or it's for a certain project, or it's going to be for something else. So what we're going to do is change the image because we want to do something a little bit different, correct? So we're going to upload, and let's see if we can go to pictures and, find something that's chemically appropriate. Let's see here. Got some of my wife's t-shirts if you guys want that. Human Resources, JR. Nah, I don't think that's going to be really great for this. So what we're going to look for is something that's going to go in. Yeah. And we just, again, we want to keep it simple. Let's see. Temp hold. Let's see. HAZWhopper. I've got a lot of photos from where I've trained HAZWhopper and we should be able to find something. Okay, so since we're dealing with chemicals, we're dealing with stuff, let's just take one of the pictures where I was training a crew, and we'll put that up in there. All right, so you want kind of a large file, because you see how that is? All right, see how it's kind of grayed out, stuff like that? So to make it clearer, what we're going to do is hit that little star thing, and it takes that out. And then we're just going to take this out. There's really no reason to have that title right there. So we got that in there. You see me getting a guy ready for his SCBA. All right, so what we've done here for the Broad River, you see how we've got the toolbars and stuff like that? Let's say you want to set up for different areas. So a very simple way to do that is you see right up here, you got pages, you got themes, you could do all kinds of stuff. But what I'm going to go do is scroll down, and you see where the buttons are? So I'm going to put a button in there, and we're going to call it, just say Region 1. And then the link will be to the Region 1 page, which we haven't set up yet. So you see over here where the pages are? What we're going to do is we're going to add pages. So by adding this, you go down to the plus sign. You see where it says new menu section, new link, new page. We're going to click on new page. We'll call it Region 1. And again, this is like if you're breaking up a section of your job site, if you're going to put different things in there, you could do that. And we'll do another one, Region 2. And again, this is just if you're wanting to break down different pages. You don't have to actually put Region 1, Region 2, none of this in there. What you can actually do is the same thing I did. Make this a toolbox talk. But I'm leaving this in here, so you see how where I'm on the home page? I'm leaving the title on here, so if it says SDS maintenance, SDS facilities, cleaning chemicals, they know that they're on the right page. So that's why on the home page, I don't want anything there, because if it is, that's going to be, like my main SDSs and stuff like that. So now that I've got that set up, where I scroll down here, and again, you'll see up here, I've got the buttons. So insert this, we're going to say Region 1 inventory. And it doesn't have to match the page. But see, here's what's going to be great. So on the link, see, now those pages come down. So there's Region 1. And I put that in there. And what's great about this, you see how that's set up? I could go like that, and then I can put in another button, and then we're going to put that as Region 2. And it, like I said, you could put SDSs, you could put toolbox talks, incident report forms, spill report forms, whatever you want to do. So we'll put Region 2, we'll tab down, Region 2 inventory, my apologies. And again, that just simplifies. You make one QR code, you put it up, they click on the one they need. Easy peasy, right? So we insert it. We're going to make it like this, actually, so it goes across. And so now we're set up. Now, how easy was that? So again, once we do this, we'll have the QR code, and we'll just put a divider up here. Let me get that. And we'll slide it up there. And so that way, when they look at it, it's going to look a little different. So with Broad River, for each one of these, I'm just going to highlight all this. I'm going to copy it, and you'll see why. I'm going to go down here, back to the sample. So I'm going to scroll up here over on the right-hand side, scroll up. I'm going to put a text box. And I want to move that text box down. And why did it go there? I do not know. And I'm going to drag it down, or I'm going to try to drag it down. Let's delete that. Let's go down here. Let's put that text, for some reason, it keeps putting that above my button. So right there, I got it in place. It takes a minute to get used to this. So when I do that, I've got the information. So let's say we've got the different region. Region 1's inventory, region 2. This is the primary. So that file that we created over here, all right, the sample online SDS. What we need to do now is link the page to that file now that it's saved. So you go over here to this drive button. Let's make sure we click below the text. Click on drive. And then you see where it says sample online. We click on that one. And over here, we insert it. Right here, it shows one selected insert. So when it goes in, there's the SDSs. All right. So very simple. So let's publish this. Let's see what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and publish this. We're going to put up here sample SDS HAZCOM page. And again, you see you're publishing it to the web. You can make it so like request public search engines to not display my site. So you can set it up where they can't Google this. Right now, anyone can manage it that you give it to, and you hit publish. So once we get done, you go up here to the publish side, take a peek at that, look at the view publish sites, and now look at the name right there. So when they come to this, they're going to be able to see the SDSs. And what's changed is now, even though it says SDS, look at this, it put them all in alphabetical order. So if I know I'm looking for hydrogenol lead wipe-offs, yeah, I've got to click right there. There it is. Very simple, right? So let's say I want to check the chemicals in another region, or I want to get the SDSs for that, or I put toolbox talks or inventory sheets on here. I click on that page, and again, the way I can differentiate it from my home page is you see where that's right there. So that way, again, on your home page, leave the picture blank. That way people know. You can click where it says sample up there, and it's good to go, right? So how do we propagate these? Let's say you close out, right? And you got to add inventory. Very simply done is you come up, you click up, I'll just go over here. Say you logged out. We'll just do sites, google.com. And I'm going to tab over, hit that. Oh, what did I do? All right, let's try this again. Sites, google.com. Hit enter. So all my sites are coming up. Well, look at that. There's one of the projects, my recent sites up right there. So I click on that. It'll take me back, and I can look at the URL, and it's like, okay, that's my thing right there. So let's go to the pages, right? So I'm going to page, region 1, just to show you how simple it is. So say you've got the SDSs. We're going to use the same SDSs, but I just want to show you how easy it is. Go over there. You could click on the drive. Now we're just going to use the same ones. I just want to show you how easy it is to do this. And there it is. So now I've got region 1. So all the SDSs for on there, I can tell it from here, right? You know, where I've got that embedded onto the picture. Simple, right? And then go over, you want to make sure you save once you get done. So publish, review changes and publish. We're going to review the changes because previously on region 1 we had nothing. So I'm looking to make sure, okay, see, before you didn't see it, now you do. So now it's the way I want it. I'm publishing it. Good to go. And then let's look at what it looks like when it's published. So look up here at the URL. You see where it says region 1. So that's your subpage. So now if I'm in here and I'm like, okay, that's good. I got that. Let me go back here and look at the primaries. Let me look at all the different stuff. So you could change the way it looks. It just takes a little bit of getting into, but I just wanted you to see how this was. But if you look up here too, you got region 2. We'll go to that. No buttons, no nothing. Region 1. And always to get back to the home page, upper left or over to the right, just click on home. Very simple, very easy to use. So we've got this, right? You saw that. It took less than 10 minutes to generate this. So now we have to update that right to know right there. So the way you do this is you go back. You do not want to use, when you're looking at the sample, you do not want to use that QR code. You want to look at the published page. So you take that and you highlight it. And we'll Control C. And then what we do is we go to qr-code-generator.com. All right, you drop that link right here where it says enter that, and you Control V. So over here, it's generating that QR code. Okay, so you can add all these fancy frames, but you gotta, pay for different things and do all this. So what I'm going to do right now is download it. It's generating the code, so you could do all this other stuff. You just got to sign up. I'm looking over here next to my Clorox bleach. It should be downloading that GIF right there. So inside, we've got the right to know QR code. All right. So we generate it. So here's where we're going to do. We'll go back to this right here, insert the picture from this device. And remember, we had it on the desktop, safety samples, right to know QR code, and voila, there you go. So once you get this done, I like to save it as a PDF. So I'll go down, save as. We'll go to the desktop, and I'll show you why you want to do this. So I've got the SDS samples, and I'm going to convert this to a PDF and save. So one of the things I'm going to do with this PDF now, let's say the guys are out in the field, or they're setting up, construction site, maintenance job. They're trying to set up their area work boards and information. So I'm going to go back over to my documents, and you can see how that is set up. But in my drive on the sample online SDS, I'm going to add where I generated that QR code. And one of the reasons is when I'm out, let's say I set up something, or, I'm on a job site, OSHA comes up, environmental services, whatever. And they're like, hey, do you have, your signage? Do you have all this? What we're going to do, let me make sure I updated that. And get the link. I just want to make sure, okay, it's done. So I come over here to, where'd it go? Sample SDS. And I'm going to reload that. So there's my right to know poster. So if I need to print or generate one for the guys out in the field, right, I've got a copy right there. So I just print that out. Anybody has it. We could print it out for a job site, anything on there. Another thing you'd put up here would be your hazard communication plan, but you may want to actually set that up on a second page where you have plans, programs, first aid, which I've done for some of the sites. So there you go. That's how you generate your own inexpensive, free SDS online database that's immediately accessible to all persons. So people say, well, is that a requirement? Well, yeah, it is. So this is from Velocity EHS. So one of the things you have to have in your program is describe how they're managed and made accessible for, include applicable. Electronically using Velocity EHS, MSDS, whatever. You have to have in your HAZCOM program how the guys get it. So you could say an SDS binder, you could say an online SDS, and then when people are out in the field and they scan these, let's say you got a greenskeeping service, right? These guys have this printed sheet inside their truck, and they say, hey, where's your SDSs for all these herbicides, pesticides? Or, they do something else. They say, scan it right here, and it comes to our page right here. This is Alan Wolford, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for being a part, and we hope this benefits you and your endeavors.